Welcome back to another lesson with me, Mr. B. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at a student example and look at how they fit in all the required elements. So very briefly, here are the 6 things that we're going to be looking at again in this introduction outline. We're going to see that this section is focused on the narrative itself. Look at how this student has used sensory details, where their exposition is, where their conflict or struggle is, the turning point, a theme, and if it's present, some sort of falling action or resolution if their story comes to a close by the end. So let's look at a couple sections of this story. So number 1, right? The narrative itself. Well, it's definitely present, so we can check that off the list. Now let's take a closer look into what the student has to say. It was late afternoon, and after finishing many hours of homework, I was ready to take a break and do something fun. I sat at my desk and whipped out my makeup kit from the desk drawer and laid it down in front of me. I was excited to dive into the new eyeshadow palette I had received for my 12th birthday. Having watched numerous makeup tutorials on YouTube, I thought it would be no sweat. Little did I know I was going to have more trouble than I had anticipated. I grabbed a small fluffy brush, swishing it around in a warm orange bronze color. And let's pause there for a moment and take a look at the sections that I've highlighted. This student is clearly using some sensory details. We can see that they're using some actionable words like sat, whipped, they grabbed something, a warm orange bronze color. So the student is definitely giving us some visual, some feeling in the story. So sensory details. The student is also giving us some exposition, right? Setting the scene. The student has given us a sense of time over here in late afternoon, hours, their 12th birthday, tutorials on YouTube, right? So they're setting the scene here, and in this case, describing themselves as a character. Let's jump ahead and look for some conflict or rising action. Referring back to the tutorials, I remembered them saying to apply shadow to the crease of your lid with a light hand, making sure to apply it in a circular motion, sweeping the color towards the inner corner of your eye. I closed one eye, winking as I applied the color gently to my eyelid. Through application, I thought to myself, wait, where's the crease? Staring at my reflection, the bit of color swatched across my lid also disappeared. I ran my fingers across my eyelid. I felt smooth and soft, but had no crease. I pushed gently into it and noticed a crease appeared, but quickly disappeared when I drew my hand away. Confused, I wondered why I didn't have this separation between my brow bone and lash line on my eyelid. How come instantaneously after I apply eyeshadow, it always disappears after opening my eyes? All I wanted was to do a pretty eye makeup look I saw everyone else was wearing. So let's pause there. We can definitely see some sort of conflict or rising action going on. We see problems arising with the narrator. They're starting to notice different things about their body in comparison to what they're seeing from YouTube influencers. And each of the things highlighted here, whether it's about the crease or the separation that they mention, the confusion that the author has, all of this is contributing to the conflict and rising action of the story. Now let's jump ahead a little bit. I do some more reading and found out that you could buy double eyelid tape or even get double eyelid surgery. At the time, I was fairly young and impressionable, which made me contemplate wanting to possibly do these things. I slouched back into my chair, thinking for a minute, and realized that in every American magazine, makeup ad, makeup tutorial, and photos of stunningly beautiful celebrities, they all had large eyes and double eyelids with ravishing eyeshadow looks. Never once did I see anyone in the media who looked like me. I was completely and totally insecure at this point because this is how I thought I should look, and it was weird and embarrassing that I didn't. So I think we've hit our turning point here, the climax of the story. And what are some signals that we can think of that tell us that the story has reached a turning point or the climax? Of course, this could be subjective to every reader, but I would say it's right when the author realized the difference between themselves and what they're seeing out in the media. Remember, a turning point doesn't have to be something super drastic or super dramatic. In this case, it's the author making a realization, a shift in the story, where they've changed from the beginning of, I can do this eye makeup to, actually, no, I can't. And the author here kind of points out what the theme of the story is, about their insecurities with their eyelids. Some feedback that I have for this is, this sentence is a little telling instead of showing. They're just telling us that they were completely and totally insecure, when they were already doing a really great job at showing us that insecurity through the actions of slouching to the chair, having this realization that they don't fit the body image of what they're seeing in the media. So we can check off the theme. Now, how about falling action and resolution? Let's finish reading. I wanted those large open eyes that didn't seem to grow smaller every time you smiled in a photo. And I wanted double eyelids so that the eyeshadows, eyeliners, and mascara I applied could be seen. For a long time, I was displeased with how I looked. I was tired and frustrated that I never saw and knew anyone with monolids. What was strange was that if I were to see an East Asian on TV, they generally never appeared to have monolids. they always had at least one crease visible. So the author here is kind of implying the following action or resolution to the story, where they say, for a long time, I was displeased with how I looked, showing that where the author is kind of pushing the story forward and letting readers know that they've had a shift in mindset, not just with the points that we showed earlier, where the author showed the realization with the act of slouching into the chair. Now, the author is telling us that over time, they slowly accepted the fact that they were who they were, and those that were portrayed on media still fit that certain body image. So although we may not have gotten a resolution where the author has fully come to terms with their insecurity, we definitely have some falling action to the end of this story. I hope analyzing a student example was useful for you and helps you see the types of details that are required in your short story. This and other student examples will be available to draw inspiration from as you write your introduction. Up next, we'll cover the elements of a body paragraph. Thanks for tuning in to another lesson with me, Mr. B, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.